All right, we're going to turn now to Dedham, Massachusetts, where we have some breaking news ahead of the murder retrial for defendant Karen Reed.
She stands accused of hitting her Boston police officer boyfriend John O'Keefe with her SUV and then leaving him to die in a snowstorm in 2022.
And joining us live now with that breaking news is Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson. Matt, great to see you as always. Now we hear the judge has officially ruled on that third-party defense, big part of this case. What can you tell us?
This is the ruling that we were waiting for. It's a massive ruling there out of Dedham, and it's a split ruling, one that impacts the entire retrial and the defense strategy. Judge Beverly Cannoni ruling that the third-party defense for Colin Albert is denied because the defense failed to show any evidence that Colin had any, quote, motive, intent, and opportunity to kill John O'Keefe. And there was no evidence ever presented at trial to show that he was at 34 Fairview at the same time John O'Keefe was at the home. But the defense can introduce evidence of third party with Brian Albert and Brian Higgins. Take a listen to these arguments about this earlier this month.
The defense in this case has more evidence of third-party culprits than the defense did in Finney. We're not asking this court to allow into evidence hearsay, as was admissible in Finney. We're solely seeking to introduce the crux of a third-party culprit defense, which is evidence of motive, opportunity, and means, all of which Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, and Colin Albert had.
There is no motive. There is no motive. To suggest that one person was pining, although the text messages don't show that, they both stopped corresponding with each other days before. To suggest that Mr. Albert is friends with Mr. Higgins and therefore he is bootstrapped into a conspiracy to kill with no evidence. There is no opportunity to murder John O'Keefe when all the evidence points at him dying on the front lawn from an alleged collision.
Take a look at your screen. Here is the order. Judge Beverly Cannoni writing this, quote, the defendant is precluded from raising a third-party culprit defense alleging Colin Albert is culpable for John O'Keefe's death. Goes on to say, but not prohibited from raising a third-party culprit defense as to Brian Albert and Brian Higgins. Counsel cannot mention potential third-party culprits in opening statements, but will be given the opportunity to develop a theory through relevant evidence at the trial. As you know, this is on the eve of when this trial begins. Tomorrow morning begins jury selection.
Whew. Wow. Thank you so much to Matt Johnson. Michael, I just have to mention, we were talking about why not Colin Albert.
Yeah.
I feel like a good big piece of that is the fact the judge found there was no evidence suggesting that Colin Albert was at the home where John O'Keefe was found, and that kind of makes sense to me now.
Yeah, there was no evidence of that. Now, remember the connection they had made was that Colin allegedly has some kind of argument with the victim in the case. And they also, which I thought was a really powerful piece of evidence in the case, showed a picture with friends where his knuckles were scraped.
That's true.
Suggesting that might have happened the night that this victim had died. So she has the benefit of having heard that testimony already, so you have to remember that as well in making this decision. I think, especially to Colin Albert, it's pretty big.
Yeah, I think so too, absolutely.
All right, let's bring in our guest for this hour. Joining us, criminal defense attorney Josh Schiffer. Josh, great to see you as always. All from your travels. I've been following you on IG. Travels all around. I wish I was with you. But want to get your reaction to this judge's decision. A bit of a surprise for me. Honestly, you have to find some nexus between whoever you're going to allege. You can't just drag people through the mud for no reason. Here, it seems as though she found some evidence to suggest that there was motive, opportunity, and means for Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, but not Colin Albert.
It's great to be here, and thanks so much for welcoming me back. I couldn't be away for this one. This case, it just gets more interesting with each one of these rulings, because when you step back and look at this, y'all are right. This is a big hit for the defense, who had leaned very hard on the participation of Colin Albert, that knuckles photo, as that nexus that Michael was just talking about. The state took a dramatic move in trying to preclude a defense before trial because they knew it was coming. And that's really smart. It's really aggressive, but it also set them up for a little bit of failure, because now the defense can fully swing on the two other McAlberts involved. And there's still the opportunity for Colin to come back in if that door is somehow open. It's just shut right now. And that clarifies kind of the pathway for the defense in how they structure their argument. Big win for the state in at least hamstringing the defense to a degree, but it's not over by a long shot. We're going to hear a whole lot about the McAlberts.
Listen, I took it as a huge win for the defense because we didn't know what the judge was going to do, and I wasn't convinced that the judge was going to find the evidence of the motive, opportunity, and means to the extent that would make her say you can use any of these as a third-party defense. So it is a split ruling. But I think the defense can take this and run, developing the testimony like they did in the first trial to really make a jury think it could have been. And that's all that has to happen. One juror has to think it could have been one of those two, and she could then not be found guilty.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Judge. And it is that, hook to hang your hat on. And we know the intensity of this case. Any juror that is selected for this trial is going to know the moment they go in, even if they've somehow not heard about this and are going to claim independence. But the intensity of these parties is palpable in such a small courtroom. You've got all the associated drama on the outside. And now the defense has its clarity. We know what the argument is. That is a giant win for them with this approval. But again, there's always another side of that coin with the state being able to prepare their arguments in advance, knowing this is how the defense is going to structure their argument. They're not going to go rely on some of these other associated issues people have made a big deal about. We're going to hear direct allegations about third-party culprits causing the death of Officer John O'Keefe.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Josh, stand by. Michael, I have to mention this. I don't know if you've watched any of the new documentary where they follow the attorneys after court, and you get to hear fresh from the attorneys' mouths for Karen Reed what they thought about what just happened in court. Boy, would I love to have been able to hear what they thought after they received notice of this split ruling.
Look, at the end of the day, there's plenty of evidence involving Brian Higgins and Brian Albert in this one. Brian Higgins in particular, there's some weird stuff going on.
I agree.
So I think they still have enough ammunition to fight this case. So while it was, I think, a win, a win, like you said, for them in terms of, I think losing Colin Albert's a problem, but I think they'll be fine.
I think so, too. We'll see what happens.